the 25, breaks a couple of tackles, and look at him go! He could go all the way! Touchdown!
Winning is not sometimes, it's an always. Winning is a habit.
What's up, sports fans? It has been way too long, but we are here and we are back to talk some sports, wrapping up after the 2020 NFL season. So with me, as always, my good friend and co-host, Seth Floyd Hansen. Welcome back, man. It's good to see your face.
Oh, man, that's so sweet of you. It's good to be back.
We're recording.
Yeah, exactly. You should have heard the stuff he was saying before we recorded. It's good to be back, man. It really is. It was too long of a hiatus just to take that season off, but appreciate you understanding and like the fans. I just had to get my ducks in a row with some school stuff. And anyway, things are looking good now. We're on track. The only things that aren't looking good is that we have 6 months till NFL football again, something like that. Just too far away, but it's good to be recording again and getting to do what we love. So.
Yeah, and this is what we love doing the most. It's the off season anyway, especially when both our teams don't make the playoffs. So we've been in off season mode for a while, which we will get to after the recap. But
there was the perfect season to take off, I would think. Yeah. Like it was like in a nutshell, it was meant to be that we didn't record that past season. So
you would have heard a lot of ranting and probably some crying a little here and there.
Lots of it.
It was rough, but we've already been blessed. We had like a pro day with Trevor Lawrence already. The combine's going to be different, but we got all that coming up. So maybe 6 months till the game, but only a little bit over a month until the draft. So that's what we're really excited about. But getting ahead of ourselves already, 2020 crazy season through COVID, not a lot of fans in the stands. Everyone knows all of that. And Tom Brady once again walks away with a Lombardi trophy, his 7th and the first with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just crazy.
It stings a little bit that you say the first with Tampa Bay because they could just run it back, dude. Yeah. Unbelievable. And I'm at the point now where I'm all in on Tom Brady. Like I have gone from hating to Tom Brady to respecting Tom Brady to liking Tom Brady to like I'm one of his biggest fans now. Like I was telling my students this the other day in class, like right after he won, people are complaining because they're young kids. They don't want Tom Brady to win. They want Patrick Mahomes to win. And I was trying to explain to them, I was like, Tom Brady is 43 years old. Is he 43 or 44? I think he's 43.
He's 43. I'll check 43. While you're talking.
I was like, Tom Brady is 43 years old. I'm 29, and I pulled a muscle walking into work today. I pulled a muscle in my back, and like legit, this guy is superhuman, doing things that people tell you is impossible. But he's not. And the best part of it is he's not genetically like he didn't win the genetic lottery. He is just so disciplined in everything he does every single day, whether it's March or whether it's the middle of November making a playoff push. Like he does all the little things perfectly every day. And it's just unbelievable. And I love it. And like, obviously if I'm never like, I'm not a Buccaneers fan, I'm a 49ers fan, but if the Niners aren't going to win it, like that was really cool to watch him win another one. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So there's so much that you can talk around Tom Brady. Like you hit on what he does in the offseason and during the season, the discipline, right? There's the debate between Belichick and Brady, all of that. I mean, but just look at what he actually did this season to get to the Super Bowl and then win, right? So they took out the Washington football team, which had a good defense, but not a big offense or a quarterback name or anything like that. Then he goes, and that was on the road, by the way. Then he goes on the road and knocks out Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Then he goes on the road and knocks out Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau. And then he's at home, right? But he takes out Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And like that path right there, that road alone, I mean, just further cements just how crazy it is.
Sure. And I mean, before we hit on the actual Super Bowl, like
Yeah.
Tom Brady's legacy will always be known, other than just winning Super Bowls, but his ability to overcome adversity, right? Like look at down 28-3 in the Super Bowl to the Falcons, comes back and win. If you look at this season, like it had its bumps and bruises. Like by week 6, I remember looking at Tampa being like, not a legitimate threat. Yeah, I was just like this whole thing has been a great story, but their ceiling's probably a wild card and they're going to lose in the divisional round. Like that's truly how I felt. And there were reports coming out that him and Bruce Arians weren't getting along as well. Like I don't know how true that was, but clearly there was some distraction going on around him, and Tom just fought through it. And that's what Tom does. And like Tom literally is not scared of anything. Like that's like, I want to wake up in the morning and be Tom Brady. And just from that standpoint, like confidence in myself to know I can face anything and overcome it. And he just does. He just wins. He has figured it out. He's figured out the secret to this thing, and he's not sharing it with anybody. He's just putting his head down and getting to work. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's no disrespect to like Peyton Manning, but Peyton Manning at the end of his career won that second Super Bowl on the back of his defense. Tom Brady putting up 31 points against the Kansas City Chiefs, was throwing the ball all over the place. Not to mention Rob Gronkowski coming back from the dead to score touchdowns and lead that team as well. So yeah, I think the biggest story now is going to be, can they do it again? And how long is Tom Brady going to keep playing?
Sure. Well, in that Super Bowl, the story, I mean, anybody who watches it, Tom played well. It wasn't the best game he's ever played, but he did what he needed to do. But I mean, clearly the story was the defensive line of the Buccaneers, and Patrick Mahomes just couldn't get the ball off. And it like some of the stuff I've listened to, and as you watch the game, you really look at it, and what is the deal with the Chiefs not sticking to the run game?
Yeah.
Because they had success running. They came out in the second half and started running the ball, and it's just like not in their DNA to stay committed to it. Like it's like every time they want to call a run play, in the back of their mind, they're just like, well, we have Pat Mahomes, we probably should throw it. And that just that's tough, man. I obviously don't know what the thought process was behind it. I know they were down a bunch, so maybe they felt the pressure too, but man, they didn't have an answer. And Todd Bowles, he deserves a shot at another head coaching job. And he's obviously not going to get it this offseason because all the spots are filled. But I like Tom Bowles in New York. I don't know why it didn't work out. I know that he got guys to play, and they showed up and they would play. But man, that defense looks so good. So good. And now he's going to have Super Bowl winning defense on his resume. Yeah. Like the dude deserves another shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Bruce Arians is doing with all those coaches, I mean, I remember Byron Leftwich as a quarterback, right? A pretty good, just kind of average quarterback with Jacksonville. And now he's definitely found his mark as an offensive coordinator. So he should have a shot too. I mean, it's one thing you can hang your hat on having Tom Brady, right? But it's putting all those pieces together and it's still working it through. I don't care what players you have, that definitely helps and makes it better. But you still got to call the right plays. You got to get them in the right situation. So Byron Leftwich, to the same degree, just like Bowles, I mean, deserves a lot of credit.
Definitely. No, and I'm like a big Bruce Arians fan. So happy he's out of Arizona. And so I think he's a great coach and a well-deserved win. So
yeah. So there's enough you can say about Tampa Brady, as I'll call him, right? But some of the other teams that were up and coming had a shot, at least trending in the right direction. And the one I love to watch and talk about are the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, that's what
Josh Allen easily could have been an MVP had it not been for, a great season by Aaron Rodgers. But what do you think about Buffalo?
Dude, I'm all in on Buffalo. They slowed down. They slowed down at the end. Yeah. And I don't know if teams if there's some stuff they found on film, but they looked lights out there for a bit. It's pinnacle being against my 49ers on Monday Night Football. That was the most embarrassed I've been, as a 49er fan, because there was nothing they could do to stop them. And it wasn't like like they were getting pressure on him. The dude just couldn't be tackled. They couldn't get their hands on him, and someone was just constantly open. And that jump that he took this year from the previous year, from 2019, like he looks almost like a completely different quarterback. He took that jump that every fan and every team hopes their young quarterback that they drafted would take, and he did, man. He's everything you want. He's big, got a strong arm, he can move. You're not worried about, because he's so big, you're not really worried about his durability. You don't want him running a bunch, but if he does get hit in the pocket, like he's going to be durable, and they're the team to watch. It helps that New England is down, so they kind of run the East right now, the AFC East. But you watch out for Miami, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with them and their quarterback situation. But I mean, Miami should have been in the playoffs. They won 10 games, so it's going to be interesting. But I mean, you pencil the Bills in to be in contenders. I would think. I mean, who else is there even in the AFC? Aside from the Chiefs. Like they're the next team that I have actual faith in.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit more well-rounded and trending more in the right direction. I don't want to write off Baltimore,
Sure.
right? Like the Ravens came in, they had a weird season. If you could point to one team that was affected the most by COVID-19, it would have been the Baltimore Ravens, with their schedule moving around, all the players that they had, including Mark Andrews. So they still have some pieces they need to get together, but making it into the wild card, making it into the playoffs, knocking out Tennessee in Tennessee was a big deal, a big win. And I agree with you. I give Buffalo the slight edge because I think they're a little bit more put together. They have more weapons, especially on offense. Like that Allen to Diggs connection was special this year, and it's going to be special, I think, again next year. And moving forward, where the Ravens don't have that, their offense is still just Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, and that's not enough for me to give them the edge over Buffalo. But I certainly don't count them out.
So, where are you at with Lamar Jackson? Because I'll tell you really quick, I feel like I had a lot of my hesitations about Lamar like confirmed this year, and that was just his limitations as a passer. And I'm not saying anything new. I'm not saying this isn't like groundbreaking. I'm just saying like Lamar deserved the MVP in 2019. He earned that because he's such an electrifying player who won a bunch of games for his team. But anybody who watches him a full game of his, and you watch enough film of him, you can see that like he's average is like his ceiling as a passer. Now it's okay because as an athlete, he's phenomenal, and he changes the way the position's played. He changes how the defense has to adjust to you. But at the end of the day, like my biggest reason why I would give the Bills the nod is I just I don't trust Lamar. Like that's really hard for me late in the game. If he's got to make big throws, like that's hard for me to want to put that money on him, when on the opposite end, you've got Josh Allen, who has proven as a passer. He proved it this year. He's phenomenal. So I'm curious what your thoughts are. Do you think he's still going to develop, or where do you stand with Lamar?
I still think he has a chance. He has put up some great numbers so far, and I think he's shown a lot of improvement. The reason I'm not ready to completely count him out, or even just say I've seen enough of him to make a decision, is because I don't have a true number one wide receiver.
Okay.
Hollywood Brown isn't that guy as much as he's going to clamor for the ball. I think he's more of a Deshaun Jackson type who can take the top off, make some big plays, and he deserves to be in the NFL, absolutely. But he's not a Stephon Diggs. So I'd love the Ravens to go out and get like Allen Robinson or some of these other free agents that are out there who can really be a reliable go-to guy. And then it's going to be on the offensive coordinators and John Harbaugh's staff to actually let Jackson throw the ball.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If they stay one-dimensional, we've seen all we're going to see from Jackson, and he's not going to run all over the league forever, and probably going to top out as a wild card. But just the same way that Allen progressed huge with Stephon Diggs and that coaching staff, if they get a true number one wide receiver, I'll give him a shot.
Sure, and by no means am I saying like, oh, Lamar isn't the best passer in the world, so you need to start looking elsewhere. Like,
Sure.
he brings stability to your franchise. You are going to be in the hunt for the playoffs every year as long as he's there. You should at least be, as long as you have some talent around him. But it would be hard. Like, I feel like to get there, to get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl, you're going to need a lot of the luck that like you've seen some teams in the past have, which could happen. It totally could happen. But the longevity of this thing, I don't know, because Lamar is, while electric, he's small. Like you know what I mean? Like he's very slender. And to me, I see it, and he's like one shot away from like having his career look a lot different and being limited. But they're an electrifying team to watch right now, and I would run it if I made that pick. Like he's won me a playoff game now. Like I'm ride or die with Lamar as long as I can, because I mean, what other options do I have? You know what I mean? And I mean, he just won the MVP, so I'm not trying to knock him too much. I'm just so
yeah. So do you think he can develop though as a passer, or do you think you just need to build around his running game and then just get a strong defense?
I like, for me, like the dude is, I mean, he started 3 full years now, or is it just 2?
It's just
He came
two.
in, he's had 2 years?
Yeah.
But hey, dude, I just think, I think I mean, there's a chance, I'll say it that way, but like historically, like, no, he's not going to. Like historically, like quarterbacks, like they kind of develop in their second year. Like, I would guess, I mean, I haven't looked at it, but like I'm guessing, like the guys that come in and they're good, like Justin Herbert, like that dude is just a star. Like he can sling the rock, and he's really good, and he's going to develop more, but like he's already past that threshold where you're not like, okay, we need him to develop so that he can be our long-term guy. He's our long-term guy. We want him to develop now so that we can go to the Super Bowl. And for Lamar, like, I just think he would have done it already. That's what I think. Now, I also thought that about Josh Allen, because Josh Allen, this is his third year, right? Was this his third year? Or no, he's the same. Yeah. He's the same class.
Same draft class. Yeah.
But he started from game 1 essentially, if I remember.
Right away.
Anyway, he had a development. Something happened this year that clicked for him, and I kind of had written him off from that standpoint too. I didn't think he would be a star kind of quarterback, and he clearly proved me wrong. But that doesn't change. Like, most quarterbacks don't do that. Most quarterbacks within year 1 or partway through year 2, you see them do it. Like even Joe Burrow already, before he got hurt, like he looked the part. He looked like the dude, and he was making the throws. And I just think, like, statistically, if I have to put money on it, I'm just going to say no. Lamar is what he is. He is what he is. And that's the same thing I'm going to say about Jimmy Garoppolo. He is what he is. Like, he's definitely played enough. These people want, like, he's been playing football his whole life, by the way. It's not like this is a new thing that he's, like, they've been playing football their whole life. They've been developing their whole life. So they are what they are at this point, and that's what I would say. That's where I would put my money.
Yeah. So I would just say, like, Stephon Diggs going to the Bills cannot be overlooked in how much Josh Allen improved. I mean, 1,500 yards, like that connection was dynamite. So I want to see Lamar Jackson with a guy like that. I don't know if they'll ever get a player like that caliber, but give him someone. And Allen Robinson is not as good as Stephon Diggs, but he's a number 1, and
he's a heck of a lot better.
Really good.
I love Allen Robinson, dude. You see what he has done with Mitch Trubisky as his quarterback?
With nobody's, right?
Yeah.
With nobody's.
Yeah. So no, and that's a great point. And then maybe what's been holding him back is just he hasn't had a guy that he can rely on, and like that could be 100% true. Could be 100% true. But to expect him to just, it's just hard. You're just to expect him to, with the same guys he's got, to just all of a sudden flip a switch and just like make these airtight throws when guys don't have a ton of separation. I don't know, but then there's times where I see Mark Andrews running free with nobody 10 yards around him, and he's like throwing it over his head and stuff, and that's what gets me. But I'm rooting for him. I love to watch him play, but I would be hesitant. Yeah.
We'll see. So I think really the takeaway is, what are the Ravens going to do to build around Lamar Jackson? Because we're both definitely on board. Like, you have to build around Lamar Jackson. Whatever you think you have with him, whether you think you need a wide receiver to help him out, whether you think you just need to establish the running game, or just build up a defense so the defense can win you a game. Like you got to go all in, and you have to make some moves because you can't waste this guy's talent.
No, especially, I mean, the Chiefs aren't going anywhere. The Bills aren't going anywhere. So you got to do something. You can't just hope that you're just going to get better all of a sudden. Like, and I'm the more I've been in football and just watching it and stuff, like defense is all about dudes. Your dudes have to play defense. The guys that are the best ones on your team. So if I ever somehow a miracle become a GM, like I am investing 100% in the defense, and I'm going to sprinkle in some high investments on my offensive line, but it's all about defense. And then as long as you have a quarterback, like you can do it. So for the Ravens, that's your best bet, man. You've got a good running back. You drafted J.K. Dobbins. You've got Lamar. You have a really good tight end. Maybe you can add a piece at wideout, but then, man, invest in your defense. And it's not a bad defense by any means, but just if you can come away with, I mean, you won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer as your quarterback. Why? Because your defense was so good. So that's the route I would take.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we spent a lot of time talking Ravens, but honestly, the AFC North as a whole was pretty exciting this year. So you touched on Joe Burrow. My wife, fell in love with Joe Burrow as a fan, had to get her a jersey, even though we're not from Cincinnati or anything.
Really?
But,
wow.
Dude, she loves the story of the young quarterback coming in, right? So watching Red Zone, we were always trying to watch the Bengals games and all that. Terrible to see him get hurt, but hopefully as we get to the draft episodes, we'll talk about what they need to do to help him out. That was exciting. Steelers off to an 11-0 start, fluttered at the end there. And then the Browns, obviously the biggest story, probably one of the biggest stories in the AFC as a whole, for them to make the playoffs, and Baker Mayfield maybe turning a corner there.
Yeah. AFC North was fantastic. And we, like you said, we hit on the Ravens, but 3 teams won 10 games, at least 10 games, just unbelievable. Browns look good, man. They still drive me nuts, but Kevin Stefanski, he deserves that Coach of the Year award to finally bring some, not just making the playoffs, but winning a playoff game against your rival, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, huge. The reason they drive me nuts is because Nick Chubb is so good, and he might be the best running back in the league. He really might be for pound for pound, run between the tackles, the bell cow. I mean, there's Derrick Henry. So it's A1 and A2 to me. But I'm just saying, Chubb doesn't touch the ball enough. And I get the whole deal with Kareem Hunt, but I think they would be even better if they would give Chubb the ball more. And I think it's not even the amount of carries Chubb gets, at least from what I saw this season. It's the situation that they're giving Kareem Hunt. They'll give the Kareem Hunt the ball inside the 10-yard line, which I had Kareem Hunt on my fantasy team, so I'm not complaining too much. But I'm just saying, it's kind of a no-brainer that Chubb needs the ball more, or at least in different situations. I'm not necessarily saying they would have gone any further in the playoffs, but they clearly have something with Chubb, and this is their window. They have a tiny window here, whatever that looks like. Baker played better this year. He played better once OBJ was hurt. I don't think I wouldn't bet OBJ is coming back. I don't know. I don't know what the contract looks like and stuff. I would imagine they're going to try and trade him. So he played better, not trying to force the ball to OBJ. But they're definitely going to be fun to watch going forward, that whole division.
Yeah, I think the Browns can take a lesson from what Mike Vrabel has done with the Tennessee Titans in running first, playing solid defense, and then play action pass, and then playing to the limitations of your quarterback. I think Baker Mayfield is and will be a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. But it's that same style, right? They both are better off the play action. Yeah. And that's where Mayfield needs to play. So I think the Browns will figure that out. Like you said, Stefanski is the right coach for that. I think they found their guy. So hopefully they can have some stability there. The whole OBJ thing, probably trade him. I get it. It doesn't sit right with me, though, all this talk of them just saying, oh, he's your best player, but you play better without him. that can't be in the same statement, right? I get the thought there that maybe Baker is forcing the ball to him and trying to make him happy. But if you think he's your best player, which, okay, he may not be your best, but he's one of your best players, as a coach and as a system, you have to figure out how to get him involved. And then absolutely, if you can't, then he has to be off the team. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But
there's just, but Matt, you're the stats guy. Like, if you look at Baker Mayfield's, look at his performance. He's just better when OBJ's like I wouldn't. And Baker's kind of a weird guy anyway. I don't know if you saw like his whole thing about the UFOs.
The UFOs, yeah.
Actually, like, I'm all in on the UFOs, but that's another podcast. But Baker, like he's just kind of a different cat anyway, and